effectively. That has, spilled into hands, including my wife. So I feel like, the place is, operating at full tilt. Testing 1, 2, test. Okay.
You're gonna take pictures. Don't yank on it.
Promise.
No, that's okay.
Do not ask for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for you. Let us settle into a spirit of worship with a moment of quiet, to be followed by the music of On the Blue Ridge by Josh Martin, played by our music director and pianist, Matthew Johnson. You are also invited at this time to light a silent candle of joy or sorrow. Our chalice-lighting words this morning are those by Anastasia Barosh. As we light this flame of hope, may our congregation become a kaleidoscope of souls and people. An abstract flame-like pattern, bright gold colors, and a black background. In the presence of this flame, in me, in you, in us, is an invitation to sit at the table. May we tend our soul fire through these challenging and trying times to open the hearts and minds of all who enter our doors. Amen. The Reverend Dr. David Breeden writes our opening words, and I would add that Dr. Breeden will be with us on October 20 for this year's Wolfson Lecture. Retired minister from Minneapolis, Dr. Breeden is well known in a number of Unitarian Universalist circles, including the efforts of UU humanists. He writes about transformation, saying, Welcome to this place where certainty transforms to questions. This place that takes what is and imagines what can be. Welcome to this space where what is fixed begins to shift, where rigidity embraces unfolding as we journey in the dance of transformation. Welcome to this moment of change where we together, we transfigure, transcend together. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester. My name is Aaron Payson, and I am honored to be one of your ministers. The Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester is a congregation of love, hope, and justice, inspiring people to take on the challenges of a changing world. We begin by acknowledging that in Worcester, Massachusetts, we work, live, learn, and worship on the seized ancestral homeland of the Nipmuc people who survive and remain active as the Nipmuc tribe. We offer a very special welcome to those of you who are new or visiting us for the first time this morning. We are delighted that you're here. We hope that you will join us in Fellowship Hall following the service for refreshments and conversation. If you have questions or desire more information about this service or any of the ministries and programs of this congregation, please do not hesitate to ask. We invite you to fill out one of the cards in the pews. These cards can be placed in the offering plate or given to any of our ushers or greeters this morning. The information contained therein will be used only for church purposes. For those of you joining us online this morning, we offer you a very special welcome. For safety purposes and so that we might come to know you better, if you are able, please do place your name on your video feed. Please take a moment to sign one of the attendance clipboards as it makes its way around. Though you're not obligated to sign, we appreciate your information, and again, we'll use it only for church purposes. During the service, we offer an opportunity to share a brief personal joy or sorrow. If you'd like yours to be read aloud by me, please print it on an index card in the pew and drop it either into the collection plate when it comes around or bring it forward during that time in the service. These cards will also be posted outside my office to be shared with friends at other services. For those of you online, you are invited to place your joy or sorrow in the chat, and we will read them as a part of this service as well. In the foyer are listening devices and large print orders of service and hymnals for those who may find their assistance beneficial. I believe there are also cushions for those of you who think that wooden pews in churches are something that we keep from the medieval church. You know who you are. Finally, please note the announcements on the back of your program. There will be time for short verbal announcements following the postlude this morning. I am so glad that you are here today. And I hope that you will take this opportunity to rest, reflect, and rejuvenate. Would you please join me in hymn number 311? I want to say to you that hymn number 311 was the first hymn that was sung in this congregation when I arrived here 25 years ago. So it has special meaning for me, and we will continue the theme of dancing throughout this. And Barry, be prepared because your favorite hymn is coming at the end. Please rise in body or in spirit. As we do, may I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times. Be a dance, let it message small be heard. Play the music, say the words, and still the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance. I want to call forth our basket bearers, our members of our religious exploration program, who on a weekly basis come forward in order to collect change for change, an ongoing contribution to the emergency fund of this congregation. If you have change that you would like to share, please raise your hand, and one of our basket bearers will find you post haste.
And I'm going to ask the kids to please go line up at that very back door. You see the white door? All children, please line up at the back door. Back. And we're going to say a little poem for you before you leave. We're going to ask the people who remain in the pews to make an archway with their arms. So like Diane and D, yeah. Okay, is everybody ready? Okay, here's our poem. It's Ari today. It's Ari today. Today is the day we walk out this door and we'll lead the way. First stop for our students in pre-K and K is a delightful small class we call Spirit Play. Hey guys, then all the way down through the long church hall is where the rest of us meet. So come one and all. There's a chalice to light and some stories to hear and nice people to see. We're so happy you're here.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. So we're experimenting this fall with a little change in the order of service, which brings forward my reflection. As last week, there were a number of people who went, that was interesting. So we'll try it again. I often dream that I'm a tightrope walker. I climb the rope ladder slowly, carefully adjusting to its wrinklings, and the wooden slats mutter to me all the way up. The rungs on my right foot stands on say, If you're afraid of falling, you will fall. And the rungs my left foot presses say, if you believe you can't fall, you will fall. Eventually, I arrive at the little platform at the top. I strip off my tracksuit, and I am revealed in all of my sequined glory. You will never unsee that again. I look out and down at the upturned eyes, sparkling brighter than my costume, and then the spotlight pins me, and I hear its mocking tones. It says, and probably in the end, you will fall anyway. And in my dream, I always listen politely, and I know it's true. And then I go out sparkling, flashing, and dance on the void. That is the challenge, the moment of hope, to dance as near the edge of destruction as possible, to be willing to fall and still not fall. Audience cheers because it is beautiful and because they know that this time I may indeed fall, and because they know that that is precisely why it is beautiful, and I have made it beautiful. These are the words of British author of religious fantasy, Sarah Maitland. They appear at the end of a chapter she writes on artful theology in her book, A Big Enough God, A Feminist's Search for a Joyful Theology. It is a dense chapter in which the author seeks to make the case that theological truth would be well served if we broadened what we think is acceptable as expressions of theology. Of her own book, she notes, if the norms of publishing were not so narrow, I could have packaged between these pages a CD of music, or better still, a videotape of a performance art group, including jugglers and tightrope walkers, two acts which seem to me to express the psychological stunts of the contemporary Christian laywomen with singular grace. I think that she's on to something. And I would suggest that it is more than a commentary on Christian laywomen, but also a commentary on the entire theological enterprise across many religious traditions and orientations, including our own. Our relationship to what is ultimate is, and Maitland says as much, an open-ended, continuous process. It is the parlance of our own religious tradition that is often expressed by noting that revelation is not sealed, or that the revelatory process is perpetual. Our friends in the United Church of Christ bear this truth with their motto, God is still speaking. The moment we codify what we think we are or what truth means to us is by its very nature of this admission out of date, or at best incomplete. This does not mean, however, that we ought not attempt to express our highest values and most important truths. The question is, for what purpose do we manifest such expressions? Here is where I had such a hard time with the debate this summer at General Assembly over the adoption of a new form of our principles and purpose as an association. So much of the rancorous discourse was about the maintenance of power as many had experienced it. Definitions do that. Years ago, when I was first in this congregation, I hazarded to do a sermon on God talk, only to be challenged in the aisle shortly after I finished by someone whose response to my reflection is, if we're going to talk about God, we ought to agree on the definition first. My response was to ponder if such a venture were the creation of a creed in a creedless tradition. My role as a minister is not to reinforce a kind of certainty. I'm sorry if you've come here looking for that. but to demonstrate the disciplines necessary to wrestle with uncertainty. Disciplines which teach us to relish difference and to broaden appreciation for that difference. This week's lectionary, a resource that Christian ministers often use to organize the reading of Scripture for the year, and one that I study with Christian colleagues each week, focuses on a passage from the Gospel of Mark in which we encounter Jesus walking and talking with his disciples as they journey to the city of Capernaum. The passage comes toward the end of the chapter in which the disciples have been witness to a number of remarkable events. Jesus healing the sick and the disturbed, Jesus transfigured in form, talking with Elijah and Moses. At this point in the story, the students are duly impressed. So when they come to Capernaum, says the Gospel of Mark, and when he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you all arguing about anyway?" But they were silent, for on the way they had argued with one another who among them was the greatest. He sat down, called the 12, and said to them, "Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and a servant to all." And then he took a small child and put it among them, and taking his arms around the child, said to them, "Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me." Jesus confronts his disciples by placing the most vulnerable being in the room at the center of their conversation. And holding that child essentially says, greatness is not defined by one's relationship to power. Greatness is defined by the power of one's relatedness. Greatness is not defined by one's relationship to power. Greatness is defined by the power of one's relatedness. Here is where I think Jesus and Matlan get it exactly right. If what we take to be acceptable expressions of theology, faith, and obedience to truth is only defined by those entities that seek to control and define truth, to maintain power, if you will, then we miss the point altogether about what the heart of the universe relies on us to be. We, all of us, have been endowed by our relationship to all that is with the potential of being co-creative and co-creators. And so much of what we experience in the world are attempts to constrain that potential. Sarah Matland hears that in the voices on the rungs and the tightrope itself, or the spotlight itself. As she dreams of walking a tightrope, Jesus experiences it in the myopic focus of his students and friends who think that greatness is in their relationship to power. And I think this is where so much of contemporary and historical Christianity and other religious thinking gets it wrong. Greatness is not our capacity to toe the line of a particular institution, a particular party. It is our capacity to represent the powers that be in the world. And it isn't our capacity to represent the powers that be in the world either. What makes us great is that we are each a prism that reflects truth and a reality in unique and spectacular ways. Think on that for a moment. I'll return with some closing thoughts toward the end of the service. Do you want to hear some good news? Yes. Well, look around. The greatest news today is that we have begun yet another year together. We have a choir that is larger than I have ever seen it. We have more children coming down the aisle than we have had in years. Those are both extraordinary things to celebrate. And then I think about yesterday, when more than 75 families made their way through our parking lot, and we doled out more than 2 tons of food in order that people not go hungry in our neighborhood and in our community. So I ask you, what makes us great? I have the honor every time that I'm able to be here for food pantry distribution to simply walk from car to car with no other agenda than to look people in the eye and introduce myself and say, how are you and how are things at home? And more than once, this congregation has gifted me with the resources to be able to help in the moment when there's a crisis. And what we are seeing is a significant change. Yesterday, I encountered people who spoke Vietnamese, Brazilian Portuguese, Spanish, Ukrainian, and Albanian. The need is growing, and so is our community. So should we circle our wagons and declare that that kind of diversity is unacceptable, as so many in the world would suggest? I mean, really, there are even those that would ponder the eating of animals. Is that what we do? No. We learn to speak their language. We learn to use technology in order to be able to bridge the gap of misunderstanding, in order to create a bridge for community, if you will. And I am so honored and grateful to be among so many people who make that happen during the distribution and in preparation for it every month. And that is all of us, including our children, whose collections give me the capacity often to be able to respond to the depth of need in the moment. That is extraordinary good news. And it happens in so many other ways, with people here who reach out to those who are newest in our community, those who are made vulnerable because they do not have a stable home, and so many other ways. So I come filled with good news this day, and I'm so grateful to you all for all that you do to help make that happen. And it is in honor of that vision of creating community and connection that we pause every time we come together for worship in order to take up an offering in service to that mission and those ministries. So I invite you to reach into the pocket of the person sitting in front of you, pull out their checkbook, write the check you've always wanted to write, you know. And before we do that, however, let me say this to you. Today is a 50-50 collection, and I want to invite Beth Posner-Waldron to come forward and talk to us about the ministry of our Get Out the Vote team. For those of you who are unfamiliar with 50-50 collections here, anything that is contributed today that is not a pledge will be shared between the congregation and our Get Out the Vote team. So, Beth, thank you for joining us this morning and sharing with us the vision of the team. And we'll pull the mic up. There it is.
Ooh, I heard it. All right. So Mara and I are displaying our new banner. What do you think? So this was the brainchild of about 5 of us sitting around Susan Crossley's living room this summer, and then Ann Hollander does wonderful stuff with her little tablet, and Vistaprint made this for us with a very generous donation that we had received last spring. And this draws attention to us when we go to rallies, and was at the Democracy Fair in Northampton last week, so that people would come over and, you know, say, what is this all about? And we hope that someday we can have a new banner that does not need to have that stop sign on it. Because that's one of the things that we do, is we fight voter suppression, the Get Out the Vote team. So we've been writing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of letters. Collectively, during coffee hour, people from this congregation wrote 139 letters, and each of those letters needs a stamp. Now, do you know what the price of stamps are these days? 73 cents. So that means that $15 can buy one of these beautiful strips of stamps, and $100 letters need $73 to be sent. And we are sending 1,700 letters to meet our goal for the UUA's Good Trouble congregation. And we have about 500 to 600 letters to go. We have one of our team members that is writing 600 letters herself, and she cannot afford 73 cents for every single one of those letters. So we have a jar that we'll have in the foyer every Sunday to collect stamps. The offering plate is going to go around, and that's shared with the congregation. But also, if you just want directly money to go to the Get Out the Vote team to fund our stamps, Susan Crossley says the thing that you do if you have any anxiety about the elections is to grab one of these white envelopes and stuff it with as much money as you can and put that in the offering plate and write GOTV on it. That's GOTV for our Get Out the Vote team. And otherwise, money in the plate gets shared with the congregation. We're going to be at a table in the fellowship hall talking about all of the good trouble that we're getting into this year with more letter writing and postcards and phone calls. Wednesday, October 2nd, you can help make phone calls to North Carolina, and people really appreciate these phone calls. So I'm not going to say any more because I always say too much. But thank you, thank you, thank you for all the support we've been receiving, that we'll continue to receive, I know, and for your generosity.
For those of you who would like to participate in our 50/50 collection this morning online, or to participate in the offertory in general, you're welcome to text 508-231-5335 and follow the instructions on your screen. We are delighted to receive whatever gifts are made available today, and like so many of the ministries that we engage here, our Get Out the Vote team has not just accomplished thousands of letters, not hundreds. I mean, in the last 2 years, I know people that have written hundreds and hundreds of letters themselves, but they've been recognized, and we as a congregation have been recognized by the denomination among 20 or so UU congregations across the country who do this work in a stellar manner. And so I want to thank Beth Posner-Waldron for her leadership in all of this and helping us do this work. So this time, our morning offering and 50/50 collection will commence. I want to assure my wife that when you're not here, there are plenty of other people here who look at me and go, or come here. So, huh? Don't know any of them. We come to that time in our service when we're given pause to consider what is deepest in our hearts or most profoundly on our minds, or in the work of our hands in the days that have transpired, or in prospect of days to come, joys and sorrows that touch us deeply and are given another measure of meaning because of our capacity to share them in the midst of a company that claims us as a co-journeyer. So I want to invite those of you who have joys or sorrows today to come forward, form lines on either side of the sanctuary, and then come speak into the microphone, telling us who you are so that those using our auditory enhancement devices might also participate in this important ritual. Or if you would like me to share your joy or sorrow, please bring it forward with you on an index card. And again, for those of you who are online, if you haven't already and would like to share your joy or sorrow in the chat, we will make certain to include in those as well. Are there any joys or sorrows in the chat now? They're typing. Good. All right. Diane.
Good morning. I'm Diane Mann. In case you don't know me, I'm a kind, loving, extremely wonderful person. I say that because I also have bipolar disorder. And there's a story that I need to tell you here. I was out last weekend in the Midwest for a wedding and saying hi to my brothers and having a wonderful time. And not this weekend, but this coming weekend, my husband is supposed to go to Evansville, Indiana, and I was supposed to go with him. That would have included a visit that would have included my brother-in-law, who is a Pentecostal minister. Always very challenging for me, and he really preaches that people who have mental illness are possessed by the devil. I have challenged him on this before, but he continues to preach it. And I want to ensure that everyone here knows that the three ministers here and a number of other people, David, Cheryl, and 25 years worth of Aaron, know that nobody is going to tell you that you're possessed by the devil or broken, because that's out there in churches all the time, that people are broken. And we are not broken. I am a really kind, loving person who can do a lot of things, and I've been stable for a long time. So I'm going to light a candle for me.
Good morning. I'm Barry Brigham. I want to speak about the blessing here, and thank you for the theme today, the blessing of being able to dance in this church. Great, yes, that too. Because, and what it brings me back to is in my Christian church, which I went to from 0 to 50, and there was a bunch of little kids up in the front. My mother always sat in the back pew, and so before the service started, the minister's wife encouraged me to come and dance. I was dancing in the back, so she said, try it, dance, come dance, and get other people to do it. I did. And I tried to pull people out of the aisles to dance, and I think I was probably the only one in 400 years that ever danced in that church and that will ever dance, because people are just too stoic in that tradition. So the joy here of seeing people dance and dancing, just remarkable. That said, a week from Tuesday, I'll be getting total knee replacement. So I need y'all to dance for me when I'm not here. Thanks.
Hey, apologize if I get a little choked up while about what I'm about to say. My name is Leslie Linson. I probably won't get choked up. The last year medically has been horrible for me. And I've gone through life, I'm 71 years old, I've gone through life having musculoskeletal problems, and that's it. But starting last summer, and then I started having some, let's just say as of May 31st of this year, starting then, I had very serious systemic internal problems. I'm not going to take you through all of what it is. I'm still recovering. I was hospitalized twice, and in between that was in a what they call a rehabilitation place, where when you have one of those huge things in your arm that takes all kinds of shots, I had to have that done 4 times a day, and so you can actually be sent to a rehab center just to take advantage of that expertise. Anyway, really what I got up here to say was thank you so much to the people who were in touch with me. I had been at that rehab center for all of 15 minutes when I heard wonderful, Aaron's wonderful voice booming through the phone, and that was wonderful. And from the committee, I don't know from the committee that reaches out to people like me, but, someone had sent me a card, and a few people who knew what was going on in this church sent me cards. And I just want to say, boy, it can be very, very scary and isolating being in a hospital. I never really knew what it was like, and it's scary. So I just want to say thank you to everyone and to this institution for reaching out to me and holding my hand a little bit as I went through this.
Hi, I'm Angela St. Laurent, and I guess today is a day for thank yous. This is a joy because I just wanted to say thank you so much. The beginning of the year was not a good time for me. A lot of you know I was in a car accident, but throughout the month, there have been amazing people in this church who have just put their hearts out to me and helped me and is still helping me. So to those, and you know who you are, I want to say a huge thank you, and that I'm overjoyed, and that I am so grateful for the love and the support that you have given me and that you will continue to give me. And I can't tell you enough how much that means to me. And for those of you who in the past helped me and my family in our struggles, thank you for helping us get up on our feet again. So, thank you with all of my heart. And I appreciate you and I love you all.
Good morning, my name is Kim. It's so great to see everybody back. I've had a lot of joys. I just want to share one. My daughter and I went to Ferry Beach last weekend, and it was been there at least a dozen times. And every year my daughter paints people's fingernails for $2 a person and does all 5 fingers on both hands. And she was overwhelmed by all the support and all the littles that came up and had their nails done and then had their nails touched up and then wanted to draw with her. And so she didn't even get off the porch at all on Saturday. I was like, sorry, I have to take her to the beach and she has to get some ice cream in her. But this year, because of the donations, she always gives 50% to the Ferry Beach Association for anyone who needs that money. Every year, she's been doing this since she was 6 years old, and now she's 16. And so next year will be her last year, but this year she made the biggest donation. She raised $43 for Ferry Beach, and we rounded it up to 50. So thank you so much for your support, and if you didn't make it, we missed you, because it was wonderful. So maybe next year.
This is a political note. My parents moved from Switzerland after World War II, the main reason being my mother, because at that point in time, women in Switzerland could not vote. And I just think the upcoming election is so important. It frightens me. I've got tears in my eyes. Vote. Whatever you believe in, just vote. It counts.
Hello, I'm Dawn, here on behalf of myself and our online community. On behalf of myself, I was like, Diane, I love you. And I love how much you share and your openness. And it's important to me because I have complex PTSD and several behavioral health things that go around that. And your openness has given me an opportunity to feel safe in this community, to be open about my challenges. And to remember that I'm not broken, we are not broken, we are not demons, we are healing people. And your strength to share makes it a safe place for others, whether we're ready to share it out loud or not. So I wanted you to know how important that is to me.
Oh no, Diane's crying. Okay, just, never, please.
From our online community, I'm happy to share a couple of comments. The first is from Sunise, who would like me to tell you all that she misses you all, and happy anniversary, Erin. And also from Susan Crossley, who's not able to be with us today, who would also like to share, happy anniversary, Erin. It's in caps, it felt like it needed to be. Any caps need to be shut. All right, if anyone else in our online community has anything and you haven't typed it in yet, please do. I'm happy to come up and read it for you.
I'm Betsy Wood. I am one of the directors of the Loaves and Fishes Food Pantry, and I was asked here today because I thought it was going to be a roast for Aaron.
It's not over.
And I even brought my better half. But seriously, how do I follow up what he said about the food pantry? And thank you all. Probably I've at least met everybody one person from all of the benches in here throughout the 13 years that Loaves and Fishes has been housed in this church. So I'm going to treat this as the birthday party it is and the anniversary. Happy anniversary. I met Aaron probably a little over 20 years ago when the Loaves and Fishes Food Pantry was still up the street at St. John's. It is no longer St. John's Episcopal Church, right across from the Brattle Street Market. So in 1995, September, we opened our doors to 7 families. Yesterday, not very diverse back then. So as you heard from what Aaron said earlier, yesterday was probably our most diverse community coming to need our services, right? At least 8 languages spoken. So that was pretty amazing. So over 75. So that's a huge increase. And I have 3 main people to thank for bringing that ministry so it could still be housed somewhere in northern Worcester. Number 1. Number 2. And the third, I don't see here anymore, is Judy Savage, who was then the president of the board. And all 3 of them had a little bit of a ceremony in 2009 when we went from there to here and welcomed St. John's down here. So amazing, amazing. So I hope we can continue for many more years. But happy birthday yesterday, 29 years operating consistently, without fail, third Saturday of every month. We have never, ever not been open. So that's something to be incredibly proud of. And thank you so much for all the new helpers that I've met the last few months. It's just overwhelming.
Hello, my name is Gabby Wilson. This is our third week back after COVID, so it's been many years, and I guess a joy I have, little one, is that just being back here, seeing all the faces, people seeing me and being like, I recognize you, your kids were like so tiny, and it's just shocking how welcome I already feel back after only 3 weeks, so it's good to be back. A second joy that I want to share is I love my job, and so what I do is for the past 2 years I've been working at Worcester Community Action Council, and I guess want to say what we do, so that if you know anybody who needs our services, please reach out. I specifically work in the heating systems department, so we offer fuel assistance, and we also offer no-cost repairs and replacements for heating systems. If you are income eligible, you can do everything online, or you can come into our office on Chestnut Street. All of Southern Worcester County we serve, so friends, family, anybody you know. We also offer insulation, weatherization. So as it gets colder, just think of those people who might have no awareness that we exist and have them reach out. Thank you.
The other milestone today is, for the first time since COVID, we ran out of orders of service this morning. It's meaningful to me as well to have both of my colleagues in ministry here this day. I have learned and appreciated to say I'm one of the ministers here, and I mean that with all of my heart. And it's not just the ordained colleagues, it's colleagues in ministry who have helped to make this place what it is. And I'm so very honored to be among so many today. Let us be in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, we gather this day with joy, so much so that some of us dance, in order that we might remember our place in the larger scheme of things and our ability to be in our wholeness and our difference, that we are not disabled but differently abled people of all kinds, that we bring the best of ourselves to bear on what is often a bruised and hurting world, but that we also remember that we are a part of that world and that we have so much to offer. We're thankful this day for the opportunity not just to serve, but to be and surround and support people in the sanctuary, people in the community, and to serve the larger vision of a world made whole when all her people are free. Let us continue this work in earnest and be grateful every day for that very opportunity. Amen, and blessed be. Last week, I had the honor of officiating a memorial service for the husband of an old friend. My remarks included the words of the poet Mary Oliver, who writes of ice, saying, "My father spent his last winter making ice grips for shoes. Out of strips of inner tube and scrap metal, a device which slips over the instep and holds under the toe a section of roughened metal. It also allows you to walk without fear of falling anywhere on ice or snow. My father should not have been doing all that close work in the drafty workshop, but as though he sensed travel at the edge of his mind, he would not be stopped. My mother wore them, my aunt, my cousins. He wrapped and mailed a dozen parts to me, or pairs to me. And in the easy snows of Massachusetts and a dozen to my sister in California. Later, we learned how he'd given them away to neighbors, an old man appearing with cold blue cheeks at every door. No one refused them. For plainly the giving was an asking, a petition to be welcomed and useful. Or maybe, who knows, the seed of a desire not to be sent alone out over the black ice. Now the house seemed neater. Books half read, set on the shelves, unfinished projects put away. This spring, my mother writes me, I am cleaning the workshop and I have found so many pairs of ice grips. Cartons and suitcases full. More than we could ever use. What shall I do? And I see myself alone in that house with nothing but darkly gleaming cliffs of ice, the sense of distant explosions, blindness as I look for my coat, and I write back, Mother, please save everything. Beloved, to save everything, we must be willing to savor what we have, especially our own experience and that of others who are vastly different from us, to reflect an ethic of love and our deepest hope for the well-being of others, to dance on the void, for all that would have us fail or fall short of this goal is to remember our own potential to be co-creative, and more importantly, to dance, to joyfully take up the challenges of our existence, not because we will be successful, but because the spirit of life requires us always to try. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. All right, Barry, let's do this. Would you please turn to our closing hymn, number 1042, found in your teal hymnals? Or 1024, I'm sorry. 1024. Please rise in body or in spirit. Here we go. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you've got to do. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 Now you gotta sing. Sing when the Spirit says sing. says left. Spirit says left. Spirit says left. Spirit says left. Oh, now you got to shout. Shout when the Spirit says shout. You've got to shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you've got to shout. Oh, Lord. You've got to shout when the Spirit says shout. Spirit says shout. What? Spirit says shout. I can't hear you. Spirit says shout. There you go. Shout. Spirit says shout. Spirit says shout. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you've got to do. Spirit says 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 do. Please be seated, and I want to welcome Melissa McKeon, who is the current president of the Board of Management here at UUCW.
Does this come out?
Yep. I think so.
No, does it come out? That was the question.
Maybe not.
Okay, that's okay, we'll just move it. We'll just move it. All right. We want this in the middle. And Aaron,
Yes.
since we're going to embarrass you, you might as well stand right here.
Oh.
All right. All right, good morning. My name is Melissa McKeon. I'm the president of the Board of Management of this amazing community. And I'm also proud to say a few words today about one of the influences that makes this community amazing, and that is, of course, our beloved minister, Aaron Payson. In the 25 years that Aaron has been at UUCW, he's held us together as our world changed in ways we never imagined. He was here for us when planes hit the World Trade Center in 2001, when the war that followed added to our concerns, when political changes confused and alarmed us, and most recently when COVID terrified us and separated us from each other and forced us all to pivot quickly to change the way we worshiped and the way we supported each other. Through all of that, Aaron's leadership was key to getting us through it. He responded with ingenuity and grace and showed us how deeply he cared about us and our community, this community to which he's devoted the bulk of his career. Aaron has been here for all of us as we navigated personal challenges as well, birth and death and marriage and all the other milestones of our lives. And now we acknowledge that Aaron has not just been our minister, he's been a presence in the wider Worcester community. And in recognition of that, we are now deeply grateful to have His Honor, the Mayor of Worcester, Joseph Petty, who will make a special presentation.
I can bend down a little bit. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. My church wouldn't be dancing in the middle of the aisles, I know that, but yes, that's what Reverend tells me. But I just want to congratulate Reverend Payson for 25 years of service. I also recognize his wife, Christian, and daughter, Morgan, and the sacrifices they make for this congregation, and really for the city of Worcester. So I want to thank them. Thank you. And you know, Reverend Payson has made a difference here in the city of Worcester, no question about it. He's led this congregation, but he's also led, in some ways, the city of Worcester. He always walks the walk. He doesn't just talk. You know, I get to know him well over the last several years. He's participated in a number of events in the city. a lot of my events, and he'd come in. He's probably one of the smartest guys I've met. Maybe a little more progressive than I am, but we used to have discussions. He'd roll his eyes, and I wouldn't say anything, saying, no, that's not going to happen. But no, I'm like, but I get to know him during COVID pretty well. Even prior to that, he'd be one of the leaders in we'd have a church service like at noon during COVID, and everybody was home, or at night, once a week, and every day was during the service if he could make it. But he also went to the homeless shelters during COVID. I'm not sure how his family felt when he went home. I know my family, I could barely get into my house because I was out in the community a lot too, and my kids were always nervous about me coming home and in the height of that. So the Reverend made a lot of great sacrifices, making sure people were taken care of, and he still does it today. And we have I see the city is going pretty well, but we have a number of challenges when it comes to our unhoused population. Addiction, he's always there for us at every ceremony that we have, but he makes a difference. So I just want to thank him for his 25 years of service. I want to wish him 25 years more great service here in the city of Worcester. And let's right to read this proclamation. The Reverend Aaron R. Payson began his tenure in the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester in August 1999. Whereas Reverend Payson has served the UUCW congregation with compassion, dedication, grace, and humor, walking with members and friends through all of life's events and challenges. Whereas Reverend Payson has served the Worcester community through his work with the Worcester Interfaith, the Worcester Clergy Police Partnership Program, the Domestic Violence Task Force of the YWCA, Worcester Fellowship, and his teaching at Worcester State University. Whereas Reverend Payson has served the Unitarian Universalist Association as part of the Trauma Response Ministry Team, the Good Officer Support Team, and Compassionate Care Trainer with the Religious Coalition for Reproductive Justice. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Joseph M. Petty, of the City of Worcester, hereby proclaim September 22nd, 2024, as Reverend Aaron Payson Day in the City of Worcester, and encourage all reverends.
Let's go.
All right. As Mayor Petty mentioned, thank you. As Mayor Petty mentioned, when a minister serves a congregation, his family serves as well. So we're going to ask them to come up and receive a little something from us. I know they don't want to. It's just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody who helped put this together, and thank you so much, Mayor Petty, for coming today. You really made our day special, and you guys did too. All right, and now we're going, instead of a postlude after Aaron's benediction, we're all going to sit down, and instead of being played out of here by Matt's wonderful music, we're going to see a little video. So have a seat and enjoy.
I do. Let me, before it begins, just share with you our benediction this morning. First of all, I want to thank my friend and a wonderful mayor of Worcester. It has been my honor to walk with you these many years and to continue the opportunity to do that in ways that will be demanded of us in the years to come. And I want to pay particular homage to my family because they have seen me through this in ways that I could not have imagined, and I'm certain they couldn't have imagined, and they have been my rock and my salvation. And I want to thank you for allowing me the privilege of being a minister with you for 25 years. And acknowledge my colleagues who have been here throughout all of that, and some whose tenures far exceed mine and will always exceed mine. These are the words of my colleague, Scott Taylor. Go in faith. Not the kind that is called to move mountains, but the quieter sort. It calls us to take the first step, even when the whole staircase sits behind our view, beyond our view. And as we move toward the unseen, may we notice that the way unfolds only as we risk traveling it. And may we remember and trust that on this journey, we are never alone. Amen, and blessed be. Thank you. Here.
Everyone, please join us for a cake and coffee. And Aaron, you need to go first, and because you have to cut the cake, so you can't stop and talk.
Thank you. That was wonderful. That was really wonderful.